So, welcome everyone to the webinar today. We're going to talk about customer experience tools to get the most out of Salesforce that you can. And aside from me paraphrasing that title, what I'm actually going to do first is make sure to welcome our speakers on the panel today. I have a really great group with me, people that I work with every single day here at Internet Creations. Quick introduction, my name is Howard Yermish. I'm the Director of Product here at Internet Creations. And to start off, I want to introduce Adrian Lieberman, who's the Product Marketing Manager. Adrian, say hello.
Hello, everyone. Happy to be here with all of
Happy to
you.
have you with us. The second person I want to introduce is our Senior Product Manager, Peter Camille. Peter, say hello.
Everyone, thanks for joining us today.
And my usual partner on these events, I think Joe and I have done, 737 of these events in the last couple years. Joseph Reale, our product manager. Joe, say hello to the wonderful people in the ether here.
Hey guys, super excited to be here today and share some really fun product information with you.
And we do have a ton of fun product information to share with you, talking about some of the things that we've done recently, some of the things that are about to be released, and some things that are coming in the future. First thing I want to do is I want to make sure we take care of some housekeeping. How do you ask questions? Because people are going to ask us questions. Well, there's this little box that says questions in there. We want you to test this out. Put the questions in there. We're going to be monitoring these. We're going to get to certain points and we're going to answer some questions along the way and then do some stuff at the end. But the first thing that I want to ask, we are all like in different areas. What we want to know, and put this in the questions box, is where are you? We are near our main headquarters in Hamilton, New Jersey. We have a second office in Dallas, Texas. Although none of the four of us, as well as the other people from Internet Creations, like Stephanie Ramos, who's our events coordinator, who's on the call, and Jillian, who's on the call, that are not showing their videos because they're hiding, but they're monitoring things. We're all in the New Jersey area. So where are you? Hey, Steph.
Hey, Howard.
Where is everyone coming from? What are we seeing in that questions panel?
So far we're seeing people who are tuning in from West Virginia, Panama City. So that's pretty cool. That's a new one for us. So welcome, Bruno, Massachusetts. I see Nashville, Chicago, Illinois, Valley Forge, Pennsylvania, West Coast over there in San Francisco. We've got a really great representation from international and the United States. So thank you all for being here today.
I love it. That is so great to hear. And I want to, again, welcome everyone to the webinar. So let's get started and let's look at the agenda today. So we're going to go over a few things. The first thing that we're going to talk about is really looking at how do you create a more frictionless customer experience. Naturally, the tools that get you there are our tools. We love our tools. But in addition, we're going to talk about some things that we're doing with the tools that I think some of our customers don't know are there, but we're going to go through it and show some of these things as well. And then we're going to get our forward-looking statements slide. You know, we always have something that says, hey, forward-looking statement. And we're going to talk about what is coming soon for all of the products that are part of the Service Experience Suite. So, to kick it off, I kind of want to, what is it that we're trying to do? And I want to throw this over to Adrian to kind of start us off. Adrian, talk about frictionless experience for agents and customers.
Yes, so frictionless agent experience for agents and customers is important to create a smooth experience to allow your customer support team to be more productive and build relationships with their customers. And everything you can do in order to have proper tools, the right processes put in place helps allow for a smoother experience. So reducing those friction places into the process. So.
And it really takes us to why we built the Service Experience Suite, is to really focus on the four key pillars. So, you may be familiar with this graphic. You may have seen us do that anymore. Talk about our approach overall, Adrian.
Yes. So that flows very nicely from the previous slide into this. So this, if you, like Howard had said, you might be familiar with this. But for you newbies, let me explain why this methodology is important to us at IC. The approach to customer service is to keep the staff as happy as possible in order to be the driver to create the customers to be happy. So happy agents equal happy customers. And for most of the service agents aren't very enthusiastic about administrative tasks. So using technology to enhance their efficiency and enable them to focus more on case resolution is paramount. So starting off with utilization, you want to identify the needs in your support process for your agents. When you have your team working at perfect capacity, you then can identify the areas of friction to make room for other areas in the customer support process. When you make room for that, you're able to increase the response rates and you're allowing time for personalization, which ultimately creates a stronger bond between the agent and the customer. And customer loyalty is essential in general, but especially with this current 2020 climate that we're working with. And feedback is going to help be the driver for all of these pillars that I just mentioned. So when you encourage and utilize feedback, you show that you ultimately are caring about the voice of your customer. You can use the feedback to help improve how you personalize, how you utilize, and how you respond. And all four of these pillars are essential for your business to thrive and improve and help scale your organization.
Now, one of the things that I really love about how we sort of organize these things, they don't cleanly, it's not like, oh, personalization is about one product and responsiveness is another product. All of our products talk to it from one point or another, which I think really brings us to kind of like how we were able to really help out one of our friends in the Salesforce ecosystem, Own Backup. I actually have a number of very personal friends from Own Backup, my friend Matt and my friend Gina, who I regularly talk to in the ecosystem. But I love it when our friends use our products to make their lives better. So talk about what Own Backup did with our products.
Yes. So recently I actually interviewed Gotti, who was the director of customer support, and he gave me an inside look at how our tools helped improve his customer support team. So Own Backup is a Salesforce App Exchange ISV partner, and they have grown 100% year over year in the past 2 years. And they wanted to ensure that they're able to handle their higher support volume that they were dealing with. So they also wanted to make sure that they are able to keep the costs down by keeping their support team lean and not needing to hire multiple agents. So Own Backup implemented apps from our service experience suite. And as a result, Own Backup decreased their time to resolution for cases collectively by 56% while measuring high customer satisfaction.
That's just huge. I mean, when you think about trying to keep a support team happy, giving a good experience to your customers, just knowing that you can be more efficient with your day, the tools are getting you to be more efficient and allowing you to really personalize your experiences. And this is all really at service to the overall vision that Internet Creations embodies, which is to empower the world to deliver the perfect service experience every time. And when I think about our App Exchange products, we really try to design all of these tools so that the awesome admins, that very vocal, very active, very capable admin community, they want our products to make the lives better for their end users, which is how their customers are going to get better experience. So we're always thinking kind of, I don't want to say at different levels, but just really trying to dive into how do we make these tools have the most impact. Now, what I want to do now is I really want to go to how we can really reduce friction so that it's about getting the most out of your team, utilizing your team really effectively by meeting SLA requirements. And to talk about this, I want to bring in Joe, our product manager for Case Flags. Joe, talk to us about this new thing that we're doing for Case Flags.
Sure, it's actually something that is actually on the App Exchange today and already released. And so what Howard is talking about is our new multiple aging speed feature. And just to give you a little bit of backdrop, something we realized when we talk about providing really awesome customer service and providing a great customer service experience, something that we've realized is that not all situations can really be handled equally. You might have customers who are paying for certain service level agreements. You might have cases of different record types. You might have different priorities on those cases. And so you can't make a support process that's a one size fits all. There's going to be those unique situations that you have to handle. So traditionally with case flags, we've provided the means to set up your flag icons and a single aging process. And this aging process would apply to all of those cases that get created and updated. So for example, here we're looking at our default aging process of when a new case gets created, it's flagged immediately. 4 hours later, after no action, it turns to blue, 8 hours later to yellow, and eventually to red. So with our new multiple or custom aging speeds feature, what we're actually allowing you to do is define different age intervals based upon different attributes of the case or the related objects to that case. So let's just take a look at one of the examples we have here under the custom aging speed section. So I'm going to open up our platinum customer aging speed, and this is in regards to a new case. So if somebody who is a platinum customer opens up a brand new case, we're applying a much faster aging speed, and you can tell it's much faster than the default. We're aging to the blue flag after just a half hour, yellow after an hour, and red after 2 hours of no action. And the way I define how this aging speed works is actually inside the criteria, which I'll open up. And so I provided this aging speed with its own unique name. And then I could search for fields on the case level or related objects, such as the account or contact, to find different attributes in which this aging speed should apply. So in this example, again, we're looking at cases where the account SLA field equals platinum and the status of the case equals new. And again, as I mentioned earlier, this feature is inside of Case Flags today and available on the App Exchange for install or upgrade.
And that's great. This is something where traditionally, if you wanted to have multiple aging speeds, you relied on local automation. You might have written a workflow rule or process builder or maybe lightning flows or triggers. So if you wanted different variants, you had to go through and create very, very complicated matrices to figure things out. Now you can define all of it inside of case flags and it just works. There's no need to deploy anything. You just set it up and make whatever variation that you need. So that's great. Thank you for showing us that, Joe. What I want to do now is I want to talk about some of the things that we've done for, whoa, hang on a second. This controller just got really wacky on me. Okay, never mind. So here we go. I want to turn it over to Peter to talk about what we're doing with Simple Survey, specifically around skip logic. So Peter, talk to us about this. You're muted, by the way.
Can you guys hear me now?
We got you. Yes.
Great, thanks so much. So as Howard mentioned, we're going to be talking about skip logic today, which builds on the philosophy that the best surveys are simple, friendly, and timely. So what skip logic allows you to do is personalize the survey experience. That way respondents are only seeing the answers, only seeing and answering the questions that apply to them. This is what's going to keep your survey short and your completion rates high. So let me show you what that customer experience looks like for someone taking a survey with skip logic. So if I've got a customer support survey where I want to know on a scale of 1 to 5 how satisfied you are with the support agent, well, if someone says that they're very satisfied, then I just want the survey to end and skip all the other questions. But if that person gave a really low rating, then I want to dig a little deeper. I want to know what issues you had with your support experience because I want to take action. I want to make it a better experience for my customers. And so they might say, hey, I wasn't happy with the agent's understanding of the issue. Or they might say, hey, it took too long. The time it took to resolve the issue was too long. And if they answered that question, or that was the reason they gave, then I even want to dig deeper and say, really, what were your expectations? How much time did you expect it to take to address this issue? And so let me show you how easy it is to set this up. So here we are in our survey builder, and I've enabled skip logic. And so now for my question of, hey, what issues did you have with your support experience? I set that up so that I'm going to skip this question if the rating goes above 3 stars or greater. And on the next question of how much time did it take to address your issue, I'm going to skip that question if the previous question does not contain the time it took to resolve this issue. And so, again, this is what really allows you to create these very personalized experiences and create, seamless experiences for customers. Now, one of the things I really love about Skip Logic is that I think it really helps you create a better, you can now create better experiences at each touch point in the customer journey. And I'm going to turn it over to Adrian to tell us a little more.
Yeah, so this is just a little map that shows all the different points in the customer journey that you can capture feedback. When you show that you're listening to your customers, you end up building the trust and loyalty while also capturing the intel for your products and processes. So from marketing event management to customer support or sales follow-up, all of these areas help increase the customer satisfaction all throughout your customer's journey.
Absolutely. And I'm going to actually take this moment before we move on. We got a question that came in, and the question was, does the simple survey become associated with the case that was opened for the issue? Absolutely. That's actually the core strength of simple survey, is that you're sending a survey based on the related object. So when a case closes, you set up your automation, it sends out a survey, and it's automatically going to relate that survey to the case, as well as to whoever the support agent was and the contact on the case and the account on the case, so that you're able to kind of bring all that together and have a really full 360-degree view of your customer. So then when you start looking at all of your different surveys, you're seeing them in that, whether it's a support survey or it's after a free trial or it's on a renewal, all these different customer points, you can start seeing surveys related to those particular contacts or accounts, whether they were off of a case or off an event or off of some other object in Salesforce. So I hope that answers your question. Thank you, Bruce, for that question. At this point, I want to move on a little bit, and I want to talk about what's coming or what we're just doing now. It's like just about to launch, but it's around CaseMerge Premium. So Peter, talk to us about what we're doing with CaseMerge Premium with the new detector component, as well as having the ability to identify different duplicate or use different duplicate criteria to identify duplicates.
Absolutely. But first, real quickly, I just want to point out that that Skip Logic is available in the current version of Simple Survey. So go to the App Exchange, download it, and start playing around with it. So now getting into CaseMerge Premium. So, the whole reason for CaseMerge Premium is because, when there's multiple cases for the same issue, it ends up creating a lot of friction. So agents waste time and customers get multiple responses, and you end up with a result where, customers have a bad experience and it's frustrating for everyone. And CaseMerge Premium removes this friction and frustration by making it really easy to identify and merge those duplicate cases. And I'm so excited to say that we've made it even better with these two new features. And the first one I'm going to show you is the new duplicate detector, case detector. And so you see it right here in orange, and it's showing me that I have 3 duplicates. And the thing I love about this is it lets me work and identify the duplicates right from within the same case page. You see I have the old duplicate detector lightning component here on the right. And if I want to, then start working on cases, I have to go view and move to a whole different screen. So this new duplicate detector allows you to very easily just hover over a case, look at some additional information. If I really do need to dig in deeper, I can click on that case to see the dig into more detail. But typically I could get enough information here to then very quickly decide that, hey, these 2 cases are duplicates. And then I might decide that, this case is not a duplicate. So this is a new feature where we allow you to dismiss a case as a duplicate. And this is super valuable in reducing friction also, because now the next time someone comes and looks at this case, they're not going to waste time looking at what could be a potential duplicate if we've already identified that it's not a duplicate. So this is really a great feature for people. And I think what you're going to see from this is you're going to see much wider adoption of this, where more agents are going to be identifying cases as duplicates. And again, this just creates a better experience for agents and for the customers and reduces a lot of friction.
And before you jump into the demo, one key point, we heard from our customers that when they would see things like, oh, well, there's 3 duplicate cases, if they had said, I already looked at those aren't duplicates, they stopped trusting the tool. So by giving them the dismiss control, they increase trust. Now, the other thing that's going to increase trust in the tool, actually, Peter's going to show us in the back end, which is the duplicate criteria that are underlying all of the searches. So Peter, continue, please.
Yeah. So again, as Howard was mentioning, I might not know, like, why are these 3 cases showing up as duplicate criteria or as duplicates? And so now we've allowed agents to actually see what that duplicate criteria is. So they can come here, look and see that, oh, these cases are matching because they're all the same record type of internal IT. They have the same subject and they were closed. So great, now I know what that criteria is. And now maybe I can have a dialogue with my admin and say, you know what, some other criteria I think that would be useful are, and they can work together to continue to optimize that duplicate detection criteria. And one thing I wanted to point out is you notice I have this new record type criteria option for internal IT. And so this leads us to the next new feature I'm really excited about, which is enabling duplicate criteria by record type. So we realize that one size does not fit all. And so this feature really allows admins to define specific criteria for each case record type. And this gives admins the ability to then customize the duplicate detection based on what works best for each support team. So for example, let's say I have a external product team that needs its own set of criteria. And then I also have my internal IT support team, and they want their own set of criteria. So I can set this up so it's specific to that record ID type. And let's say, for example, the product team really wants to only look at cases that have been closed within the last 3 days, where that's not an important thing necessary maybe for the internal IT team. So they could define what's specific to them. And then I also love how you can actually go in, if you see here on the right, and modify the logic formula. So not only just looking at the criteria, but identifying, what's the right conditions that need to be here, and I could put the right parentheses and or conditions to customize this formula to match my exact criteria. So we're providing a lot more flexibility and a lot more control to really fine and hone tune on finding those duplicate criteria. This is a new feature we're just finishing up testing and expect this to be in the App Store very soon. So want to thank everyone very much, and now you can switch over to Howard.
Absolutely. I'm really excited about this one. Making sure that we get the most out of our support team is always as critical as possible. And the more they can trust the tools, the better. So now get your forward-looking statement slides ready because it's time for a look ahead. I got my little note card, forward-looking statement time. So yes, forward-looking statement. Please, if you are thinking about purchasing our products, we're going to show you some stuff that isn't done yet. And if you want it right now, it's not ready yet. But that said, we want you to get a little bit excited about this. And this first thing that we're going to talk about, this is something we reached out to a number of customers and really talked through all their different use cases with different teams and really looked at their wish list. What were the problems that were keeping them up? And consistently, they told us, we sometimes have an issue with our product or our service that affects hundreds of customers. And right now, with Email to Case Premium, we have no way to properly address all of those cases at once. We could make a canned comment, but every single support agent has to send out that comment to each customer. We need a better way. So Joe, show us a better way to do this.
Sure thing. Yeah, and Howard, this is something that actually has affected us internally as well. Figuring out when we, as a software company, have an issue that affects multiple customers, well, how do we group all that information together, and then how do we streamline the communication process? Traditionally, we've used things like having a parent case as a bug fix case, and then trying to do some communication off of that, but it really isn't super streamlined. So let me just collapse this view here. And so what I'm showing on my screen here, this is just a sample case in Salesforce. And what I am seeing on this case is we're having an issue reported regarding an issue with an X25 Neat widget failed to load error message. So at the top of this case, I actually have our widespread issue lightning component, and this is related to the widespread issue effort that we're working on today. So if I open up this component, I can see all of the active widespread issues that are ongoing in the org right now. And right away, I noticed that somebody else has already created a widespread issue report for the same error that this customer is reporting. So I'm going to go ahead and relate this case to this existing widespread issue. Let me get a little refresh there, and perfect. So now we can see that this case has officially been related to this widespread issue. Additionally, in this view, I can see any of the solutions that have been suggested in regards to how to resolve this issue. So once a widespread issue record is created, agents, whether it's the agent on this case or an agent on another case that saw the issue, can suggest solutions for how they have worked with the customer in trying to resolve the issue. So we can see a solution suggested here where another agent suggested how to restart the widget in order to avoid the problem. And so we can also see the vote count as well. So if I try this solution for the customer and it works, I can upvote this and also inform the person who owns the widespread issue and say, hey, you know, this worked. Let's make sure we suggest this to all the customers who report the same problem. And now I'll actually go ahead and go into the widespread issue record. And from here, I actually have access to our timeline component that you would traditionally use for case comment communication. We've modified it slightly. So for example, instead of it saying a public comment, it will be called a public broadcast. And the reason why we're calling it a broadcast is because you're going to be notifying potentially multiple people. It's not just one customer or just a small group of customers on a single account. You have the potential to reach many customers on multiple accounts. So let me go ahead and dive into this button here. And similar to what most of our email to case premium customers have seen before, this is our new comment page, but again, streamlined for communication on a widespread issue record. So traditionally, this is where somebody like a development team manager or a support team manager would go when they're ready to communicate what the fix is or the next steps are to all the customers who are affected by this same problem. So on this view here, we have the ability to update case fields. Now, these are going to update all of the fields on the cases related to the widespread issue. And then I can also update widespread issue fields themselves here. I also have the option to choose who the email is going to come from, whether it's going to come from the person who's on this page writing the response, or if it's going to come from the widespread issue owner or the case owners directly, and then who it's going to go to, either the case owners or the customers on all of those related cases. This page is still in progress, so I'm not going to send any messages at this moment. But the result of sending the result of sending a message off of this widespread issue record, what it actually does is it creates a public comment on all the respective support cases that were opened by customers. So a comment gets created on each respective case, and then that fires out a notification to each of those affected customers. And if any of those affected customers respond back, their correspondence is going back to the support case, not to the widespread issue record.
All right, so we have this really good question. For those of we were in New Jersey, and last week we had power outages all over the place. We had a massive lightning storm. We had a hurricane that came through here, and so tons of people were without power. So the question is, would this have been a great tool for like the power company to handle things? Because imagine they would have different areas that they had to service where it's hundreds and thousands of homes. So,
Right.
Joe, how would you use that in that scenario?
Yeah, in that specific scenario, what I'd probably do is create a widespread issue record for each of the various locations or segments that I'm going to be servicing. And then as the power issues are resolved in those specific areas, I, as the widespread issue owner, could go here and make a comment saying, hey, everyone has power back. Your power should be restored at this time. And then everybody from that point would just get notified. Everybody in that location would get notified regarding that update.
Great question. So I'm also really excited about widespread issues. This is going to be hugely impactful for our customers, but I'm also very excited about what we've got next for email to case premium. So Joe, talk to me. What does the future hold for email to case premium?
Yes, and give me 1 second while I get my screen back here. Yeah, just to wrap things up before we talk about this, the widespread issues component is something that is undergoing active development, so it is not available today, but we do expect that to be available in Q4 of this year. Other really fun things we're looking at for email to case premium, configuration by record type or criteria. So this is similar to what Peter was talking about for CaseMerge, making the application a bit more flexible and being able to define settings uniquely by different attributes of the cases that you're working. Some other enhancements such as can comment enhancements, working on updating the builder interface, making it Lightning designed so that customers can feel like they're in Lightning while they're building out their canned comments. Also introducing a preview on the new comment page, as well as capturing metrics, better metrics regarding canned comment usage. And lastly, for email to case premium, some additional enhancements to timeline, offering the ability to create and manage more filters, providing HTML views of each of the comments as they go in and out, and also the support for additional activity types such as phone calls and live chats and things like that.
We had a question come in about widespread issues. It's a really great question. And the question is, can you use the widespread issues to communicate to customers that didn't open cases but might be impacted by the issue?
Not at this time. In that instance, what I would do is I would proactively create a case on behalf of that customer, attach it to the widespread issue, and then they can get notified regarding that. But that is certainly something for us to think about.
I think what that enables is one of the ways we've always seen widespread issues is we want the customer to have a one-to-one correspondence. We're not seeing it as an email marketing tool. We don't see it as like, oh, you have 1,000 people on the list and everyone should get the same communication. We see it as, well, there's back and forth with the customer, and instead of sending, one message 50 times by 50 different people, it's one person sending that to 50 people that have cases open. So we want to make sure that we're not trying to do something where, like currently, if you just want to do like an email to all of the members and do like a campaign-based email, you can absolutely do that in Salesforce today. This is more specific to keep the one-to-one conversation. We didn't mention this, but the replies to the cases. So when, like, let's see, the support team manager sends out this and it goes to 100 different customers. When the customers reply, it stays with their case. It's not a reply all. It's as if the support agent sent out an individual comment, just with a lot of productivity. So I hope that answers that question. But great question. Definitely one that we talked about as we were designing this. Cool. So let's move to one of my top favorite apps. It's one of my top 7 of our paid apps. It's my favorite. So let's talk about case flags. We have some stuff coming for case flags that's going to blow people's minds. There's one thing in particular I'm so excited about. Joe, talk to us about what's going to blow people's minds.
Yeah, so a couple of things upcoming in the pipe for case flags. Support for chatter in terms of setting and clearing the flag based upon chatter communication. This is going to be really helpful for those who do communication through a customer community. Some other data management improvements we're looking at, such as making sure that case flags history tracking data only stays in your org as long as it needs to for reporting purposes, and also making sure any cases that have been flagged for long periods of time that don't need to be flagged anymore are removed or deflagged. A couple of other things here, an insights tool for reporting. Case flags reporting, there's a lot of moving parts and a lot of different fields, and we're looking to simplify that process by building out a custom insights tool to really better and more easily capture those metrics. And then Howard's favorite here, our switchboard view, which is going to provide agents, and more specifically, somebody in like a triage role or a support team manager, an org-wide view of all the cases in the org that are owned by their team. Which cases are flagged? What's the workload look like for each agent? And where can I reallocate work if one or more agents are busier than others?
I will say I am so ready to start demoing that to customers. That's something, again, when we were thinking about how do we make our tools better for the enterprise, better for multiple teams and the needs of larger support teams, we kept running into this triage support role where it was like, okay, as a support agent, I can get a lot of effectiveness with it, but what if I'm trying to manage a team? Our tools just weren't up to speed with that. They had some things, but not really enough. And some of the things that you're seeing here for multiple teams and for this triage role are definitely there. Well, let's switch gears a little bit and let's talk about the future for CaseMerge Premium. And so I'm going to ask Peter, talk to me. What's coming soon for CaseMerge Premium? We've got a lot of very cool stuff after the duplicate criteria by record type and the new duplicate component.
Yeah, so following that same theme of triage roles, imagine now a hit list utility bar that we're adding, where you're going to be able to see on an org-wide view of all the cases that need to be merged. And so this could be super useful for, again, someone in that triage role, or even an individual agent who just wants to quickly, look at some cases and say, hey, these are some duplicates. Let me quickly clean this up before people start working on them. So that's going to be super useful to be proactive and identify those cases ahead of time before agents start working on them. And then something that people have been asking about for a long time is the ability to do automatic merge. And so this is going to allow you to define very specific, tight criteria. And as long as the cases then meet that criteria, we just want to automatically merge those cases. And we're going to provide all kinds of tools to help you track that in such a way to help you define what those rules should be. So we're really excited about that. And then of course you can't have automatic merge, we thought, without the ability to do undo merge. Because, hey, even if you get it right 99% of the time, there's always going to be those situations where either, an individual agent did merge something incorrectly, or the automatic merge maybe merged something incorrectly. And so you want a quick way to undo that without having to manually cut and paste and tear those cases back apart. So we think undo merge is definitely going to be part of that solution.
And I think what's funny, Peter and I were actually talking about like why undo matters and what kinds of ways to do it. And we're thinking about everything from the whoops, I clicked the wrong button and I shouldn't have merged this, to the robots have merged cases they shouldn't have, and really trying to make sure that we understand all of those use cases, because we are really concerned with what we're doing with automatic merge. Has always been what stopped us wasn't the ability to merge cases. It was the ability to make sure you merge the right cases. And so many of our customers, when we would dig in with them, like, what do you want out of automatic merge? They kept telling us all of the reasons they didn't want automatic merge to start merging cases. And so the improvements that we've made to duplicate criteria are actually the step we needed to take
Yeah.
before we could get to an automatic merge. So the hope is all of you start defining more and more duplicate criteria that's very, very precise. And when you can trust that duplicate criteria, you can flick a switch and say, okay, just merge them for me, please. That's kind of the path that we're going. It's the harder path, but we think it's the right path. So let's switch gears again. Let's talk about Simple Survey, and let's talk about what we're doing. Skip Logic is now in the App Exchange. It's working. It's a great first effort with it, but we're not done. So Peter, what are we doing next for Skip Logic?
Yeah, so there's more that can be done with skip logic. And one of the first things is making sure that when you view an individual survey result, that you could see what impact skip logic had on that, and so at an individual record level, which questions were skipped. And then you also want to be able to do that at an aggregate level. And that's where adding skip logic functionality and displays into our survey insights we feel is critical. So that when you're analyzing the data at an aggregate level across a survey that's been taken by hundreds or thousands of people, you could see which questions were skipped and which were taken and which path people are following through those surveys. And that's really helpful in terms of helping you analyze the results and also understand what's helping you improve and build better surveys yourself. And then the next thing is conditional redirects. And so I love this because, what if based on how someone answered a specific question, you can then redirect them after they submit the question. So if they're having problems, maybe you want to send them to some knowledge articles or some product documentation, or if they really loved the product and gave really great reviews, maybe you want to send them to a page where they write a review about your product, or sign up for a seminar or a training webinar. So this gives you a lot of options to not let the customer journey end right there after they take the survey, and to continue that, really to educate and continue people through, creating a great experience for them even after they take your surveys.
And this is all really, when I think about what all of these updates are for, it's all about improving the overall service that your customers can experience. It's all about improving the responsiveness. This is the part that the customer feels, the back and forth communication where they don't have to wait. The utilization, knowing that the people on your team are going to be happy because they're not overwhelmed with one team. One team's like just getting mauled. The second team is like, well, we're sitting on our hands. We got nothing better to do. If you get that balance right, then you're able to say to your team, look, use our tools, personalize the communication. Don't just copy and paste and copy and paste and copy and paste. Really personalize, whether it's through a canned comment or making sure that the right team is getting the case as soon as they possibly can, and then closing the loop with the feedback, listening to all of those things. And Adrian, one of the things that strikes me is some of our customers don't know whether they're doing a good job or not.
Yes, this is perfect. We just released this. It's an assessment for all of you guys and gals to take to see what's working and what's not working with your customer service experience. So take the assessment, just write this link down or take a picture, whatever it is. But please go ahead and take So yes, please take our assessment so you can see what areas you can improve on, and you'll see where you rank in each pillar.
Awesome. So at this point, let's address any questions that may be coming in. And I see one right away here. The question is, does the survey go out automatically on every case, or do we send per case? So that's a great question. And the reason it's a great question, because the answer is yes. It depends on how you want it to work. So what we think you should do is set up something like a process builder or flow or workflow, whatever local automation of your choice is, that when a case is closed, you send a survey to the contact on the case. And so you do that through automation. It'll pick the right survey template and then send that out. If you want to send surveys manually, you can still use email templates and say, oh, I'm going to send this survey to this person. So you have the option to do either way. We think you should automate this. This is definitely something where if you ask the support agent to remember to send the survey, they will only send surveys to customers who've said, you've been amazing. And for every customer who had a problem, they're going to be like, whoops, where did that survey button go? So make sure that you automate that. We think that's a great way through. If you have other questions, put them over into the chat. So while we're waiting for some of these questions to come in, because this is the time where they see the questions thing and they start thinking, oh, I can ask this question. I want to ask the panel, of the things that you've talked about today, of the things that you've presented today, what's the thing that either you're most excited about or you're most like anticipating that you think is going to have huge impact, and why? Adrian, go ahead. It sounds like you want us to talk.
I'm very excited for the auto merge functionality for CaseMerge Premium. I think this is going to be very helpful for merging the duplicates automatically and helping the agents basically taking just one more item on their pile of list of things to do off their plate so they can focus on other tasks at hand and personalizing the communication like we had mentioned before. So I'm really excited for that feature. I think it's been requested a lot as well. So.
Absolutely. Joe, what's a favorite of yours?
Well, selfishly, I'd have to say widespread issues, but I also think that this will specifically help folks like myself and Peter who do encounter situations where you have more than one customer reporting the same issue, and you need a nice, easy way to combine all that information together and then streamline the communication out to those customers regarding updates and when the problem is resolved. So.
Cool. Peter, what's your favorite thing?
I was actually going to ditto what Joe is saying, because I really feel that widespread issues is going to have a huge impact on our customer base. And again, putting myself in the customer shoes and just in my own shoes, as Joe is saying, that, keeping that communication open with customers and not having to remember who you need to contact about what, being able to group multiple cases into one issue is just going to be such a huge time saver for me. And so I imagine it's going to be the same for customers. And I love like some of the distinctions like in the design, I think really impressed me. It's almost like a, if you guys are familiar, more technical people, something called Stack Overflow, where people can upvote and downvote different questions. I think there's some really cool things in the design to sort of help the best answer sort of float to the top and really sort of um, crowdsource the solution. So I think there's some really interesting features in there that I think can be even taken to another level. But it's going to be interesting when the first release comes out.
I'm looking forward to that too. I've got two things I want to say, and then we'll get to, there's a couple questions that have come in. So the first thing that I have to tell you that I am just wildly excited about is actually something that it's part of Survey Insights. And that's the ability to compare data. That's something that we talked about a little bit. We mentioned, hey, we're going to be able to compare stuff. But when you start looking at the word clouds and you start seeing things like, oh, well, this support team is doing this well, and this is their overall NPS score, and comparing it to the other support team, their NPS score is here, and comparing things and seeing what are the common words that are used and still being able to drill in on both venues and stuff like that. This is the kind of thing I'm just super excited about, that because that's how you kind of learn from the data that you've captured, and it's learning things that you didn't realize showed up. When we first did the Insights tool, I actually at an all staff showed off the word cloud for our support team, and all of the big words were all related to the fundamentals that we live by in terms of knowledgeable support and responsive and all these things. And it was like, it really brought home that the training and coaching that we've been doing showed up in the feedback. It really helped us close that loop and know that the improvements that we made were actually showing up for what our customers felt. The second thing, of course, I'm going to talk very quickly is the switchboard view for case flags. I will say case flags, switchboard view. Several years ago, Joe and I sat in a room and I was like, I want to do something like this. And he was like, it's gonna be big. And then we just fought it out. I started drawing some stuff up. And then when we heard from our customers that they wanted something like that too, we took a whole lot of time. And Christina, who's currently on PTO because she had a bebe, congratulations to Christina for that. But she worked, oh my God, the number of times that we would like work on something and then like walk around the block, and that thing, it's amazing. I can't wait to demo this to people when it's ready. So let's get back to some questions. This is a follow-up response. We get 3 or 4 responses per case, and we don't want surveys to go out each time. Can it be automated as well? Absolutely, yes. What you can do is you can set your automation, your follow-up automation, to be when the case closes. If you want to do, you can also put a delay in to say, don't send it as soon as it hits closed, send it when it's been closed for a day. So that's something that you could do with your automation to make sure that it's like the case has to stay closed for a day before it sends out the survey. I think that's a good way to go there. Another question here, will CaseMerge Premium merge all the comments and the attachments? That's, oh my God, Peter, will CaseMerge Premium merge all of the comments and attachments?
Yes, yes, yes.
Yes,
Because
absolutely.
that's the beauty of it. We don't want you cutting, pasting, and copying all that together. It's going to do all the hard work and heavy lifting for you.
Um, awesome. So another question, I use the email object to compose my replies to customers. So how would the public-private comment section that we showed work? Would we be able to use our own custom email template? Joe, custom email templates, email to case premium, that work for us?
Yes, it does. Yeah. So when you're setting up email to case premium, you'll have the option to, or actually you'll be asked to define which email template you want to use. And you could also set up auto template selection rules. So based upon different variables of the case, which template should be used. When you're on the new comment page as well with email to case premium, you will get a preview. So before the agent actually officially sends out their comment, they can get a preview of exactly how it's going to look as that comment will be sent to the customer, merged into the template.
All right, and one more question. This is related to case flags. Does case flags take omni-channel priority into consideration? For example, if chat is considered a higher priority, but you're about to miss a milestone on a case, does Omni push the case as a higher priority?
I'm not sure, so sure about that one.
I believe you could configure case flags to, with the case, to say if it's an omni-channel and the priority is X, age it faster. So that's something where we would be looking at those fields on the case.
Yeah, if the case captures somewhere like in the origin or something to that effect, then yes, we can use those attributes to determine the aging speed.
Absolutely. These are all really great questions. Just so you know, if you have more questions for us, reach out, whether you go talk to support, ask a question through the community. There's some really, really good stuff there. But at this point, I think we've answered all the questions that have come in. So what I get to do is I get to say, thank you for joining us. This has been a wonderful webinar. It's great to see people here. It's great to see all the questions. I'm super excited about all the things that we're working on, what we've delivered for the first part of the year. If you remember, I did a webinar back in, I think it was January or February, where I said we're building a lot more stuff. We have built a lot of stuff. We are continuing to build stuff. It makes me super happy that we can do this. But thank you all for joining us, and we look forward to talking to you at the next product release webinar coming soon to a theater near you. So thank you very much.
Thanks,
Bye,
everyone.
everybody.
Thanks,
Have a
guys.
great day.